Now we are going to design a GUI. GUI means, what is the full form? You know it, right? What is the full form of GUI?
Graphics user interface.
Yes, graphical user interface. So now this is the program, and in this you're going to import a package called as AWT. AWT, anyone knows the full form? It stands for Abstract Window Toolkit. It is the package that you use in order to create the graphical user interfaces. So it is very simple. A fixed number of steps you need to follow for that. So I'll first of all run this program to show you that what kind of interface we are going to create and why we are creating that also I'll tell you. So when you run your program, you will be able to see a window is popping up here. Can you see this window? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Now you may be able to see that there is something called as enter any number. I'm going to enter the number, suppose 4. And then here I will get the double of this number. Double of 4 means 4 into 2, that is 8. When I'll get that 8, whenever I click on this button, I'm getting 8. Now the font size is small, but I hope you can see it. So whenever I click for double, the double of the 4 will come here. Suppose I write 10 over here, double of 10 is what? 20. So 20 will come over here. And then if you want to close this window, it does not go by this cross mark. If you want it to go by this cross mark, you have to write some extra code for that. Otherwise, you can create a button for that. That is exit application. Okay, so this is how you can create a GUI, basic GUI, using this abstract window toolkit package. So is it clear what we are designing using this GUI? What is the purpose of this GUI? Is it clear?
Yes.
So there is a AWT package. You have to import it, java.awt, and dot star means everything in this package. And inside this package, there's an event uh, sub package, or you can say some class or something like that. And from that, everything. Okay, so these two things you need to import. Events is actually for the events like what? You can have click event, hovering over the button, that event, or maybe focus on that event. Event is nothing but a particular action which you're performing on the elements of the GUI. So that is why we need event. Like on clicking the button, we were getting the double. So clicking is an event. That is why you need this event sub package also. Do you understand? AWT is for the actual window, for the actual GUI, and event is for the actions that you perform. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, if you want to create the window, we know that Java is purely object oriented, means everything over here also will be done with the help of object oriented programming. So you need to create a class. And can you tell me what does this mean? You can see there is a class event1, but what is this? What I've selected here, what is this? What can you say about this class event1 by seeing this? Yes?
Event one is a subclass of frame implements action listener.
Yes, very correct. Okay, very good. Now, it is a subclass or it is a child, but frame and action listener, are they classes, are they interfaces, or are they class and interface? What is it? What can you tell me about this?
No idea.
Okay, so frame, you can see here extends frame. When do we use extends? When it is a class. Frame is a class. And implements action listener means what? Action listener is an interface. Right? Using these keywords, you should be able to recognize that frame is a class because it is extends frame, and implements action listener means interface. Is it clear how to identify which is class, which is interface?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, we need this because we want to make our class to run the GUI programs. Using this event1, we are going to define our own code inside this event1 class, and it should have the properties of the GUI. Frame and action listener. Action listener is for the actions like clicking or whatever, and frame is for the actual window of the GUI. So it should be capable to, we should be capable to use these two. That is why we are creating them as parents. Now you can see in the GUI, we have different components or entities. Like you could see a text box in which I entered 4 and we got the result 8 in another text box. This enter any number is called as label. Means it is just a tag or some information it is giving, it is a label. And these are the buttons, click for double. And now you can see I got an exception here, because click for double will do what? It will take the value from this box and give its double in this box. But here I've not entered any value. That is why when you do click for double, you get an exception. So here also you can use exception handling. So there is, which are the components? Label, text field or text box, and the button. So there are how many text fields here? Yes, how many text fields over here?
3.
Which are they? I mean, uh, uh, how can you say there are? It is a text field. Text field is nothing but where you can give your input, or from where you can get your output also at times. So you can see there are two boxes kind of here, and these two are the only text boxes. This enter any number is a label. So you can see here also objects I've created, two objects. One is for the first text box and the second is for the second text box. And then we have two buttons. Which are those two buttons? Can you tell me?
Exit application and click for double.
Yes, that is why you can give these objects names anything, but the class should be button, class should be text field, class should be label. Label is just to give some information for us. Like what was the information in this case? Enter any number. Now, event one. Can you tell me what is this? It is a method or what is it?
Method.
Okay, it is a method, but more specific, what is it? See, class name is event one, and this method name is also event one. So what is it?
Constructor.
Yes, exactly. It is a constructor. And in the constructor, I'm going to create the objects. As you know, this is the left-hand side, and this is the right-hand side. And in two different lines, we can create the object. So we are saying new label. Why label? Because label is the name of the class. We know that. String A equal to new string. Similarly, label lab equal to new label. And whatever the label, the content of the label, or you can say the information on the label, is enter any number that we have to specify as a parameter passing to this constructor. This label is also a class only whose object I've created. So we are passing a parameter at the object creation. So this parameter will go to which method? We are passing it to what?
Label.
Yeah, means we are, it is for the label class, but whenever we are creating an object and at the object creation, if we are passing a parameter, to what method the parameter goes? Constructor, right? At the object creation, we are passing a parameter. So it is going to the constructor, am I right? This label is also a constructor
Yes.
only. I mean, the label is a class. So the constructor of label class, the name of that constructor will also be label only. Okay. Now, similarly, text field is also a class, and this 1 and 15 I'm passing as parameters. And you're seeing here columns, means this by default it has come, means it is specifying the width of the text fields. If I say 1, you can see this is the size of the text field. If I say 15, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this 15 are there. So it specifies the width of the text field. Is it clear what 1 and 15 does?
Yes.
And then buttons you're creating. Now the size of the button depends on what is the text on the button. Like here, click for double. So the button will be of the size to occupy that text, as you can see here. If I simply write click, then the size of the button will be such that it can occupy the text click. Means this should be clearly visible, click for double. That will be the size of the button. So the buttons also have created, text fields also have created, the label also have created. Now, how to get the action? You get the action only when you click on the button. That is why you have to call this method add action listener. So button is your source. When you click on the source, that time someone has to monitor that activity. On click is an activity which is monitored by this which interface? Action listener interface. This interface is monitoring and it will understand whenever you click the button. And whenever you click the button, what should happen? you should get the double of the number. So that logic of generating the double, that is written inside a method which belongs to that action listener interface. This action listener is an interface which has certain abstract methods, and one of those methods is your this method, action perform method. Okay, so in this method you're going to define the logic that when you click the button, what should happen. And action event AE, action event is what? It is another class. Action event is another class whose object name is AE. And if you want to know which is that button you have clicked, this is the method for that. This is the thing you have to do. AE.getSource equal to BT. BT stands for the button that you have created. So click for double. If you are clicking on that button, how will it know which button you're clicking? By using this action event class, it has an object. On that object called getSource, and make it equal to the object which refers to the button. BT is also an object of the button class, and you're going to assign this object. You're going to compare whether it is whatever you have clicked. Whatever you have clicked is given by this left hand side, and this button is the right hand side. So if you have clicked the button, means whatever you have clicked, that button, and which button you want to click, that button. If that both the buttons are same, that is what you're equaling, you're making it equal. If that is the button you have clicked, then what you'll do, from the text field you'll get the text. From the text field you're getting the text, and whatever text it is in the form of a string. So using this integer.parseInt, this integer is another class which has a static method parseInt. Using this method, you'll convert the text of the text field into an integer, and you'll multiply 2, and you'll store it in a num variable. So you have got the text. Now for the next text field, you have got the text from this text field. You want to display the double inside the another text field. So in another text field, you'll set the text, and you'll set it as a string. Okay, whatever the text that you can see, it is a string only. So this num holds the double value of the, it is an integer. Num is an integer, and it is nothing but the double of the integer. So this num has to be converted to string now. What you did, from the text field, you obtained a string and converted it into an integer, which you stored in num. So on integers only you can do the operations like multiplying by 2. That integer, that is the double, you're going to convert it, means the double of the integer, that you're going to convert it into a string using this method. String is another class having an abstract method value of. So the value of the integer will be converted into a string, and you have to set that as a text for the text field too. Okay, so it is simple. Just get the text, convert it into an integer. Then what you'll do, you'll multiply it or perform whatever operation, convert that result again into a string so that it can go inside a text box, text field. Is it clear what we have done here?
Yes, sir.
And this is for the button BT, which is for click for double button. BT1 stands for exit application button. And if you want to exit the application, means you want to stop running the program, that time what you have to do, there's a built-in function call, like how you have system.in, system.out.println, like that you have system.exit, and you must pass 0 over here. Because whenever we return something from our main method, what do? We say return 0. So here, instead of doing that return 0 at the end, what we are doing, we are saying return 0 in a different way. We are going to return the 0 to the operating system, and we are going to exit from here directly. Return 0, you can write, or in GUI applications, what you do, in return 0 is only for your basic console input output. But for your GUI applications, use system.exit 0. So what happens actually, there are few steps. First of all, to create the window, you need the elements of the window. For the elements of the window, you need the class and the object. So you create an object of the text field class, or of the button class, or of the label class. Then whatever text you want to pass, whatever width you want to set, that all you'll do it. Whatever buttons, the button should have some text on it itself that you'll pass. Then if you don't add this add action listener, even if you click on the button, nothing will happen. So if I remove this add action listener, and then if I run the application, and then I may click on I may enter 12, but if I click on this, I'm not getting 144, I'm not getting 24, because the action listener has not been registered on this button. So you must add this action listener and pass this. This stands for self object, means it refers to BT itself. Okay. So first of all, create the objects, add the action listeners on the buttons only, then set visible. If you don't set it visible, the window will not appear. If I remove this, if set visible, I do not mention set visible, then you see the program is running, but where is the window? Set visible means show the window. So again, I'm showing the window by saying set visible true. If set visible false, what will happen? Window will again disappear. And the size of the window should be 300 by 300. That means width and height of the window. And what is the use of set layout? New flow layout. What this will do is, whenever you stretch your window, the boxes or whatever the elements are there, they will come into a single line. If the space is not sufficient, it will go on multiple lines. Okay, this is the use of set layout, new flow layout. And then the window is created, the buttons, the text field, all the elements are ready, but you have to put those elements on the window. That means you have to add the elements to the window. That you do by saying add whatever is the object name. And whichever order you specify here. First is the label, then text field, button, button. In the same order they appear here. First is the label, text field, button, button. So all these things are compulsory for any GUI application. And whenever you're clicking, that is identified by this action listener interface, which has a method, action performed, on which you can write the logic, what should be done. And then if you want to execute this whole thing, this everything we have done in the event1 class. So finally, you have to create an object of this event1 class by saying event1 obj equal to new event. Is it clear the flow of this program, how it works?
Yes.
Okay, and you have to go through this once multiple times, in fact, so that you understand this flow. And suppose you might be wondering that these methods like action performed, this method, when does it get called? It gets called automatically. Okay, usually when we call methods, how do we call it? We say object.method name. But here the method will be called only when you click. That is the speciality of this method. That is why you can see here, using this object, I have not called any method. I have only created the object of the event1 class, and whatever happens is handled by the AWT package. Only when clicking, a method is called. You don't have to call any method. You only have to create the object of the class inside which you have defined the GUI logic. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Now you do one thing. You know how to create a calculator program. Some of you all have done it. You have seen so many programs like factorial or a palindrome or whatever it is. So instead of accepting the number from the user, like if it is factorial program, factorial of what? That number you accept from the user from the console window. From where you accept it? From here. Instead of accepting it from here, accept it from a text box. And instead of displaying the output over here in this window, you'll display the output in another text box. So only your input and output source is changing. Because in our websites and all, do we see such console windows or do we see such GUIs? Can you tell me?
We see the GUIs.
Exactly. So your source of input and destination, that is the output, should be the GUI itself. So the purpose of explaining GUI at this stage, at this level of programming, is because this GUI, we may enter a particular value here, and based on that value, we'll retrieve the record from the database. So by the end of all this discussion, what will happen is you will almost create something like a website from which this is the front end. This GUI is the front end, and back end will be your database. So from the front end, you will actually insert the records, delete the records, select the records. Okay, so that is the intention of GUI, why I'm explaining it at this moment. So I think this is sufficient. Like for now, this much GUI, what I've explained is label, button, text field. This is simple to create your factorial program using a GUI, palindrome, and everything. So I'm expecting now, today is what? Tuesday. We are not meeting on Wednesday, Thursday. We are meeting on Friday. So till then, develop such GUIs. Only thing is you have to change the source of input and your destination output. So I hope you all will be able to do it. Will you do it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is quite
Yes.
interesting and you have a lot of work. So many programs you can try out using GUI interface. Any doubts for here? We can stop here. Any doubts you can ask me and put your attendance in the chat
Hello.
box. Yes?
Using this keyword in Java is same as using self in Python, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, if we want to change the orientation, like I want the button in the GUI, I want the button to be in a specific location in that particular GUI. So
Yes,
is
yes.
there any
Yeah, you
other
can do
method
it.
also?
Yeah, there are so many methods. This is just basic for any simple GUI, whatever I have shown you. There are so many methods in which you can align your entities or your elements on the GUI. You can add color also to them, the font size. Like if you know CSS in web development, like we add the styles, styling and all. Those same things can be done to this GUI, but not at such an advanced level. But yes, definitely you can do it. I've
Okay.
not yet shown you all the methods. This is just the basic for any GUI that you need. Any
Okay.
other
So
doubts?
through
Yes.
Java, like for everything, like for even creating a button, we have to write a code for it, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Actually, I've been practicing this thing in NetBeans, and there I just have to drag and drop, and here it's like very
Yeah, there it
complicated
is
here.
different. There, drag and drop is possible, wherein even if you are using some NetBeans or whichever ID, some part of HTML also you can do it. And there also drag and drop the. Actually, this is called a form basically. A form is nothing but where you submit your details, and you may get some output also from the form. So these forms can be created by just drag and drop in NetBeans. That is possible. But if you want to write the logic for it, always you may not have drag and drop facility. Drag and drop is what if you are not a perfect developer or something like that, where you don't understand programming, their drag and drop will help you. And also maybe for creating applications fast, quickly. But if you want the actual code, wherein you may in your interviews what they may tell you, write a logic to create this particular GUI. On a paper, on a piece of paper, you have to write the code. There you don't have facility of drag and drop. So there, if you are not able to write the code to develop the GUI, that time it will cause a bad impression. Because programmers, developers are what they know how to write code. That is the main intention of uh, without using drag and drop. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear now.
Yeah. Any other doubts? So I
Hello.
think yes. Yeah. Ask me. Yes.
This type of GUI I have developed in Visual Basic
Yeah.
earlier.
Yes, you can develop there also. That is basically for GUI only. I mean, there you don't have any console, or even if you have it, it is not basically for that. So you can develop GUIs in C++, Python, C language also. That is also possible. But means till now I'm showing you in Java. Okay. And one more thing is, now you might be understanding that why Java is so important. Like it is not only the console restricted. You can have GUIs, you can have network related applications also. Means the resources at some other network through the socket programming. There are so many applications. Only thing is you need to know the basics of object oriented programming. So now one by one we are exploring the different aspects of Java. Actual development, they don't use the console. Actually it is only for debugging purpose, consoles. And the actual use is the GUIs, the other related things. So only Java has so many applications. Anything else you want to say? If not, we can close this session.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Welcome.